Today on Week in Review, a court case involving the PRGT pipeline was dismissed, Canada is launching financial incentives for medical professionals, and a heat advisory in northwest BC remained a bother throughout much of the week. Hello, I'm Cael Maslin, and thanks for joining us here on Week in Review, where we cover all of the news here in the Northwest from this past week. The Nisga'a and Tahltan nations have formed a joint partnership with a transport company to purchase the Port of Stewart bulk terminal. A joint statement from the First Nations and Aero Transportation Systems, which are equal partners, says the deal is expected to close in the coming months. The terminal is located on the Portland Canal, which separates BC and Alaska, and the partners say it's used to export critical minerals such as copper concentrate from sources including Newmont's Bruce Jack and Red Chris mines. Kerry Carlick, president of the Tahltan government, says the deal will drive economic growth and self-determination, while Eva Clayton with the Nisga'a government says it's a chance for economic reconciliation. The City of Prince Rupert recently provided an update on their boil water notice, which they say is still being investigated by their engineer of record. It was also revealed that the problem was caused by issues with disinfecting chlorine at the end of their water distribution system. The main area of concern is by the 2nd Avenue Bridge because it has oversized pipes originally built to serve fish plants that are no longer operational, and they now cause circulation and water quality problems. Prince Rupert's engineer of record is working with city staff on a long-term solution, but a timeline on when the notice might be lifted still does not exist. The City of Prince Rupert has confirmed that an incident resulting in a fatality happened Tuesday night at a local carnival. RCMP say on Tuesday, August 26 at 10:40 p.m., they had to respond to a report of an injured man at the Prince Rupert Summer Carnival. A man was located unconscious near one of the rides, and despite efforts, the man was not able to be revived. The RCMP are assisting in the investigation along with WorkSafe BC and BC Corridor Service. Shooting Star Amusements, based out of Mission, BC, was operating the carnival. They announced that after a tragic incident involving a great man and co-worker, the carnival would not open Wednesday or Thursday in Prince Rupert. A drumming group and smudge was held at 1 p.m. on Wednesday at the Civic Center to honor the victim. The city stated that they also are providing victim service counselors and support staff at the Civic Center. Help can also be reached by calling 250-627-7779. A case that challenged the start of construction of a section of the Prince Rupert gas transmission pipeline was dismissed last week in BC Supreme Court. CFTK's Cael Maslin has more.
The argument against the PRGT pipeline was that a requirement of the BC Energy Regulator was not met before construction on a pipeline section started in August 2024. That requirement was to complete a cumulative effects assessment of the project, which would measure the total additive impacts of the PRGT pipeline and other industrial development across the landscape. The case was brought forth by the Kispiox Band, Kispiox Valley Community Center Association, and Skeena Watershed Conservation Coalition.
They're going to trench through hundreds of salmon streams and tributaries, digging it up, sediment, silt erosion. We saw this with Coastal GasLink. Coastal GasLink self-reported several times, hey, DFO, we have higher than expected fish mortality rates where we're constructing the pipeline on this specific section of river. DFO didn't even go and inspect.
They say that rather than assess cumulative effects of the whole project, the regulator only considered the impacts of construction of one section of the pipeline and the views of the people living beside that one section. The groups argued that assessing the impacts of pipeline sections in isolation was the opposite of a cumulative effects assessment. The court concluded that the groups could not challenge the regulator's decision to focus its assessment on one section of the pipeline, in part because they did not live along that section. But eco-justice lawyer Matt Hulse argues that impacts from the construction of a pipeline are not experienced section by section, hence the necessity of a cumulative effects assessment. The groups now have 30 days to decide whether to appeal the court's decision.
Up next, health officials keep tracking a growing measles outbreak in northern BC. Welcome back. The newest report from the Kitimat RCMP that was listed online discussed what happened with them in the middle part of August. One area of the report mentioned how the LNG Thank You outdoor concert that took place on August 16th managed to keep the problems to a minimum. Only one person was arrested for being publicly intoxicated and causing a disturbance. A wallet was also found, and the RCMP were able to get it back to its owner before the end of the event. The District of Kitimat announced that they are launching their first ever financial incentive designed specifically to attract healthcare professionals. This incentive comes as parts of the district's healthcare professionals attraction and retention strategy that was created last year with the help of a recently hired health recruitment coordinator. Healthcare professionals who either fill a vacancy or join a local practice in Kitimat can get up to $20,000, and the incentives are set to run for at least 3 years. Applications for the incentives are now open, and they will start being reviewed on September 15th. Other incentives based around housing allowances, training, and retention are being developed as well. A heat advisory was in effect in the Northwest throughout the past week, and Environment Canada and local medical health officers expected an increase in health and safety risks from heat and advised the public to take precautions. A ridge of high pressure over BC brought elevated temperatures to the region throughout to midweek. A gradual cooling trend was expected later in the week, though. Temperatures were very high and there was a moderate risk to public health. Environment Canada said to check on your family, friends, and neighbors who are at a higher risk, and be sure to find other ways to keep cool while also not leaving your pets or children in parked cars. If you're concerned about heat illness, you can call HealthLink BC by dialing 811. And while the high heat can have ill effects in too high of doses, it could also be greatly enjoyed, according to these local terrace residents who were seen out earlier in the week and making the most of the sunny skies and warm temperatures.
I've been here in Terrace for about 14 years now, yeah. And I love it up here, and I'm loving this weather. For me, 75, 80, 85 is beautiful. I'm going to be out in it. But we're going to take care of ourselves. We close up the curtains because we don't have air conditioning. We just close up the curtains and have our fans going, and we're in a building where we're in the middle floor. So we're good, and we know how to take care of ourselves. And if it got brutal, we would head to the library or the mall or the lake. So all is well, and we're handing out water when people need it at the library as well.
And I've been living in Terrace for about a year. I also love the sunshine, especially after all the rain we've had this summer. It's a nice, refreshing change. I feel like we have so little warm weather to just embrace it, you know. So I try to just kind of get things done in the mornings and the evenings, and in the middle of the day, have a siesta. You know, so it's good for me. I love it.
I've lived in Terrace since 1996, and I love the warm weather for sure. I went to Lake House Lake yesterday and went in the water, swam with my friend. Terrace is a wonderful, welcoming place, and there's lots of people out to help everybody. And we're so thankful for the weather.
West Kelowna RCMP say multiple people sustained non-life-threatening injuries on a boat crash on the Okanagan Lake. They say officers responded to it just after 8:40 p.m. to a report of a crash involving two boats about 500 meters south of the William R. Bennett Bridge. The Mounties say the crash resulted in one vessel becoming lodged on top of one another, injuring some passengers. Police say investigators have confirmed that impairment and weather conditions were not factors in the crash. After the break is a profile of a dream that changed a young woman's life. Welcome back. Amidst the heat wave, the District of Kitimat is the first of the Northwest Inland to open cooling centers. On the third day of the temperatures hitting above 30 degrees, the District of Kitimat recognized that the high temperatures forecasted and opened a cooling center in the Tamatik area. Open from 8:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., the arena will be attended by Kitimat staff at a cooled space with refreshments, Wi-Fi, seating, and washrooms are provided. The district also provided the Kitimat Visitor Information Center, the River Lodge Rec Center, Kitimat Public Library, and Kitimat Museum as alternate options. Neither the City of Terrace or Town of Smithers responded, and whether or not they were assisting the vulnerable population with cooling centers, but the City of Terrace recommended online that anyone who is feeling hot can go either to the library or the splash park. Communities across northern BC are on alert as health officials continue to track a growing measles outbreak. The first update came back in February with more than 80 cases confirmed across the province, and more recently a measles exposure was reported in Smithers. Now we look at what this means for families here in the Northwest and why health experts are reminding people that immunization is key. CFTK-TV's Helena Sante has more.
We have about 150 confirmed cases. And so that would include cases where we have a lab test for, or it would include cases where they have been connected to another known case. And so that's the approximate number. It shifts almost every day as we continue to do more assessments. For us in the north, most of our cases, the vast majority of our cases have been in and around the Fort St. John area, so within the northeast region of the north. We have seen a small number of cases in Smithers. And recently we've had a case and a couple of investigations that are still ongoing in Prince George. And so we've seen, again, most of the cases in and around Fort St. John, and then a smaller number around other regions.
Northern Health's Dr. Tribesti, highlighting the importance of vigilance, he adds that vaccination remains the best defense.
So the vaccine is the best way to prevent measles. The way that it's given is it's given in 2 doses. So after the first dose, the protection is pretty good. It's around 85 to 95% effective. After your second dose, it's nearly 100% effective. And it's a lifelong protection as well. You're protected from measles for the rest of your life. So it's extremely effective, and it is the single best way to prevent yourself from getting sick with measles, as well as to prevent it from getting to your family. Because if you protect yourself with the vaccine, you won't be spreading it to your family, to your friends, and to the community around you.
For those unsure of their vaccination status, Northern Health is urging residents to check their records, especially parents of young children.
So to check your immunization records, one way is to use what's called My Health Gateway. It's a provincial, app, for example, that you can download onto your phone, or you can log into the website, and it should include all of your immunization records on there. Sometimes though, the immunization record may be missed, and so the other way to check is to call the local health unit, and there is one in Terrace. And so the health unit is probably the first place to contact to help you figure that out. It's also the place that you can call to get your vaccine.
Anyone showing symptoms should contact their healthcare provider and avoid public space. Helena Sante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
A Pakistani woman who migrated to Vancouver, Canada with her family says a vivid dream she had back in 2013 changed the course of her life. Here's CFTK-TV's Helena Sante with a feature on Hannah's dream.
In September 2013, 2 suicide bombers attacked the All Saints Church in Peshawar, Pakistan, killing more than 100 Christians. But 3 days earlier, Hannah, then in Canada, had a vivid dream of the very same church, with explosions and worshippers under attack.
I had my first dream at the age of 9. And since then, I used to have dreams, but I never knew why I see these stuff. But this dream, which I had, was very different than any other dream. And God showed me a white color building, and I saw there are lots of women and children going inside the building. And then I was sitting in the church and attending that service at that time. And, all of a sudden, I hear a voice that 2 men, they're saying, we are going to come in and kill everybody today. And I heard that voice and I shouted very loudly and I said, close the door, close the windows. These guys are getting in, and they said they're going to kill everybody. The moment I said that, one of the guys get in the church compound, and he blast himself.
In that dream, Hannah saw herself saving a little girl. Years later, she learned a child matching that description survived the bombing, and today the girl is a teenager.
And I saw one beautiful, very white complexion color, maybe like just like foreigners, I would say. That girl, she's standing in the middle of the compound in front of the church, and she's crying and she's saying, I can't find my mother. And somebody told me that there is one girl like that, and she's still alive. So I said, I need to meet her. And I had a Zoom meeting with her. Her dad and her auntie is there who's looking after her now. Her mom died that day. So that was the answer when she said, I can't find my mom.
Hannah says the dream transformed her faith and taught her never to take God's revelation lightly. Hannah has now written a book about her journey, urging others to build a deeper relationship with God and to pay attention to His signs.
There's lots of miracles of my life, how I escaped from Pakistan, how I moved to Dubai, how God brought me to Canada, how we managed everything, and how all this story begins. So there is lots of biblical teaching in it. And in every chapter in the end, I have put 4 questions. So you can relate your story with my story and see where God is using you. What is the purpose of your life on this earth?
The book, containing more vivid details, is now on Amazon. A powerful reminder, she says, of God's revelation and the importance of listening when He speaks. Helena Sante, CFTK-TV News, Terrace.
A local barbershop owner has created a new offer in order to try and give residents a reprieve from the often quite expensive costs of living. Yesterday morning, the owner of the Nuck Barbershop in Terrace announced that he would be making a new special offer starting that day, and it's exclusive to Tuesdays.
Tuesdays are going to be, there will be like kind of a range of like just whatever, like anything about $15-$20, and then that way, you know, there's that base, and then, but even if someone is really hard up, and you know what I mean, I would be like whatever you want to do.
Brendan Larkin then gave his main reasoning as to why he is putting forth this effort to assist his customers with this money-saving offer.
I think because of just the way economy crisis is for everyone, I think that there's so much inflation and it keeps climbing. I'm a big lover, feeler that way, and I can't help it, and I see a lot of other people raising prices where I want to kind of just do my own thing and be different, and I want to try to be humble with people and humble myself and with the community and give back, right?
While Larkin's main intention has been to try and ease the pressure on the wallets of local residents, he has also pondered giving back to the community in other ways, like through charitable donations.
Once everything gets, I think I would do that actually, like for NARA or definitely NARA, and or Kinamak Humane Society is a good one, or SAR, like Search and Rescue, is another big one that I would fundamentally go for.
Larkin last said that he hopes this offer can help people put themselves in the shoes of others and remind them to give back whatever they can. For CFTK-TV News, I'm Cael Maslin. Mounties in Chilliwack say they arrested a 15-year-old for illegally using bear spray, which is classified as a prohibited weapon when used against people. RCMP say officers responded to 3 bear spray incidents over a few hours between Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning. They say the first incident occurred at Central Park, where a 14-year-old required emergency medical assistance after being sprayed, while another person was sprayed in a group altercation near Sardis Secondary School. After that incident, police say officers arrested a 15-year-old suspect who was found to be breaching court-imposed conditions prohibiting possession of weapons and was held in custody for a court appearance. Still to come, the Terrace RCMP talked more about their C-STEP funding. Welcome back. In order to address some building and common area safety concerns, the Walmart location in Prince Rupert closed its doors, although it's said to be only temporary. The store hasn't provided any kind of timeline on when they might reopen, and the next closest Walmart location for nearby residents is the one in Terrace. This closure comes only a few months after the sidewalk on the north side of the Rupert Square Mall, which is where the Walmart is located, collapsed and led the entire building to being closed down for a brief time. The Terrace RCMP recently released more results that detailed how C-STEP funding had been benefiting them since their last update on the matter. 2 months into the funding program's implementation, the Terrace RCMP have made 76 additional arrests outside their normal shift hours, while also laying 17 additional charges. Items that have been seized from offending individuals in those arrests include weapons such as bear spray, daggers, throwing knives, and a homemade shield, and also drugs like contraband tobacco, fentanyl, cocaine, and illicit pharmaceuticals. The second month also saw 3 repeat offenders get referred to services like Northern Health and the Ministry of Social Development and Poverty Reduction in order to make sure that they got the help they needed. Terrace's RCMP have also posted yet another report that details incidents they had to deal with as the month of August began to wind down. The main theme of the incidents this time was that multiple Ford pickup trucks were seemingly the targets of theft. One 2008 Ford F-250 that was unlocked was said to be damaged around its ignition while it was parked on the 4800 block of Hallowell Avenue. Several other Ford F-250s received similar damage, and a couple of them were even stolen, although they were able to be found with said damage as well. Terrace's police are using this multitude of similar cases to remind people to always make sure that their vehicles are secured while removing all valuables out of it. Finding a place to charge your electric car is set to get a little easier in BC, with Ottawa announcing plans to fund nearly 500 new chargers. But as CTV's Martin McMahon reports, it comes at a time when EV sales are actually dropping.
Not too long ago, electric cars seemed like something from science fiction. And while we now see them all around us, government pauses to rebates have them doing a disappearing act when it comes to sales.
The most recent data was announced last week by StatsCan. For the month of June in British Columbia, about 13.2% of all new vehicle sales were electric. That's about half of what that mandate for the 26 model year says it's supposed to be. And the numbers have been dropping ever since last year.
But that's not stopping the feds from announcing a plan to fund 480 new charging ports around BC.
These charging stations are also about that peace of mind to address range anxiety, to make sure everyone knows they can get where they need to go.
The announcement comes at a time when the car industry has its own anxiety about a federal mandate requiring 20% of new vehicles sold to be fully electric by 2026. Rising to 100% by 2035.
The charging infrastructure announcement today is terrific, but you're still missing, a key piece of the program, which is the rebates. While at the same time, industry and consumers are sort of saddled with this, unchanged zero-emission vehicle mandates at both levels.
The government's announcement comes after a poll commissioned by a resource industry advocacy group found 56% of respondents oppose mandates on EV sales.
And so comparing the results, we see that the gap between those who oppose mandates and those who support them has grown by 7 points in 1 year. A clear majority of British Columbians oppose these electric vehicle mandates.
The province's goal is to have 1,000 public charging ports in place by 2027. Martin McMahon, CTV News, Vancouver.
That wraps up this week's edition of Week in Review. Make sure to tune in to our regular newscasts on Monday at 5, 6, 6:30, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good weekend.